Episode 2. Asset number 1. Marc Antony wakes up in his new apartment jointly connected to his new office. His first morning waking up with no concern about his rent. His first morning waking up to his new job.
Okay. Well, this feels different. Waking up in my own place and not thinking about anyone knocking on the door looking for money. In fact, no one knocking on my door looking for anything. I might just spend the morning in my boxers watching TV and eating breakfast.
Marc Antony rubs his head and wipes his eyes, sitting on the edge of his bed. He stands up and heads towards the bathroom to wash his hands. He hears a knock at his door. He heads towards the door. It's early, barely 8 a.m., so he's wondering who it could be.
Hello? Hello? Who is it?
A female voice answers.
Open up, Marcus. It's time to get on the clock.
Marc starts to look around the room for his pants.
1 second, let me find my pants.
Noticeably more agitated, Miss H calls out. Again.
Look, Marcus, I have worked in this office for years. I can assure you that there is nothing in there that I haven't seen before.
Marc pauses, slightly confused, and thinking to himself.
I can't tell if that was flirting or her being mean as usual.
After finding his pants and getting dressed, Marc answers the door.
Well, that certainly took long enough.
Walking in, she takes a look at the apartment. Looking back at Marc, she sighs, then speaks.
To give you a little more detail on how this works, I brought over your first asset recovery and some information on the job. Let's go across the hallway to the office so we can talk.
Marc realizes that Miss H has been assigned to work as his assistant, but he also knows that she understands the ins and outs of this job, and he doesn't. So he does, as she asks. They walk across the hallway to the office. He had only taken a quick look inside before, but now he sees it in the light, and he is amazed.
Okay, this is nicer than I thought it would be.
The office is large and has a big desk near the back wall. There is a brand new laptop on the desk and a large monitor connected to it. The back wall is a bookshelf with a few books and a vase or two. The wall on the right side of the desk is all glass. It's looking out over the city, but somehow there is also a picture of Marc. On the wall, in the suit that he just bought a couple of days ago, Marc stares at it for a few seconds, then thinks about his badge and how it also has his current picture on it. Marc turns to look at Miss H. She is smiling at him almost as if to say she knows he is confused, and it amuses her.
Of everything here. The new job, the new office, a place to lay your head, and you're wondering about your picture?
Miss H looks down for a moment and shakes her head, then looks back at Marc and sits at his desk on the opposite side of his chair. She then puts some papers on his desk and motions for him to sit down.
Okay, where do I start? You are now the employee of an international company. We recover assets for a larger company who stores these assets for an even larger company. Your job here is fairly simple. When you are given a missing asset, you retrieve it. The assets that you are responsible to retrieve are connected with people who have absconded with them. Meaning, people have taken property that no longer or never in the first place belonged to them. For whatever reason, they have these items and are attempting to keep them. You will find these people, and either you or someone from the company will return the missing property.
Marc interrupts.
So what, like I'm a bounty hunter?
He gives a slight laugh under his breath.
Miss H looks directly at Marc.
Don't interrupt. Now, where was I? Right. Back to your job. No, Marcus, you are in fact not a bounty hunter. I would say you are closer to a detective. You will have to use the information that we provide to deduce where a person has taken one of our assets. When you find them, you will either bring them to our attention or apprehend them yourself.
Shaking her head again.
That is, if you are capable. And about the images of you on the badge and on the photo here in the office. We vetted everyone who applied to the company, and only the ones who we actually considered for employment were even called in for an interview. We took pictures of you in the lobby. Before you eventually went to sleep, that is. The wait was part of a test to see who had the patience that this job demands. And the interviewer likes to push his interviews a little to see how people react after such a long wait. I guess he was okay with you. The offer that he gave you was pretty much the same thing he planned to offer to whom even he chose. And we took a week to call you in because we needed to get a license for you. Or at least to make sure we could get a particular license.
She goes through the papers, picking out a few. There is an ID card stuck to a page. She separates the card from the paper and hands it to him, and then sits back in her chair.
You are going to need a few things before we can set you loose on the world.
She addresses each paper as he goes through them, asking him to read and sign them. She takes her time making sure to answer all of his questions as best she can.
This one is a car repossession license. This next one is a bounty hunter license. The next 3 are private investigator certificates and licenses needed to work out of the company. This next one makes you our private collections agent and head of security. These should keep you out of trouble as you locate the assets for us.
Marc Antony interrupts again, holding both hands up as a silent apology for doing the very thing she just asked him not to do.
All right.
Pausing for a moment, trying to take in everything she has said so far, then standing and walking around with his hand over his mouth.
This is a lot. So what you're saying is I have a license now, and that will allow for what exactly? Am I supposed to be like a TV cop, Shaft or something? How come you're hiring some random guy for this job? It seems pretty important. And if I can ask, what happened to your last guy? And while we are at it, what exactly are these assets that I'm supposed to find? I think I'm going to need to know a little bit more about what I do around here.
Staring at Mark as he walks back and forth, and then motioning back towards his chair again.
Have a seat, and I'll continue.
Mark sits down.
You're not a police officer, but we will need you to do things similar to a police officer. This particular license and these certifications will give you the ability to do certain things that the average citizen cannot. Your job is, again, to recover lost things and return them to us. We provide any information that we have on the person who took the asset, and you follow up. It's really that simple. As for what the assets are, they are assorted items of varying value. Some are very valuable, and others are very important to our client, and others are both. Now, the last person who worked in your particular designation didn't work out and was fired. After dealing with this person, the company thought it best to hire someone with a military background, but not in retrieval. So, here you are. And this is your first assignment.
She stands and takes an envelope from the stack of papers. She hands it to Marc Antony.
This is Thomas Walker. He will be your first account. He sometimes uses the alias Elijah Walker. He has been missing for about 40 days with our property. In our business, that makes the trail still fairly warm. Take a look at the file, then tell me where you would like to start.
Mark takes the envelope and opens it. He sees a man, older, withered. He sees an address. They actually have his last known address and possible work address. He even sees that they have his past girlfriend's address. But what really sticks out to him is the current address. And he figures he should start there.
Well, I'm thinking that we should try his address first.
Miss H interrupts.
Clearing her throat.
Did I hear you correctly? Did you just say we, as in both of us? I'm sorry, but that isn't how this works. I'm your assistant, yes, but not your sidekick. This dress is Chanel, Marcus.
Marc Antony looks at Miss H with a slightly confused expression. She exhales again and continues.
My shoes are red bottom.
She tilts her head to the right slightly and widens her eyes as if to ask the question. Do you understand how expensive these items are?
I feel like you're trying to tell me I'm going along.
With a huff.
I guess I'll finish my breakfast, then be on my way. Do I have to announce the company's name first or something like that? You know, like when the police knock on the door and scream, "Police, open up." And does it say what I'm looking for? Oh, and am I supposed to just find him and call you, or am I supposed to cuff this dude and bring him someplace?
You'll be fine, Marcus. But to answer your question, you can call and I'll send someone to assist you, or if you are feeling froggy, then jump. You can apprehend someone who has our property and bring him to us for proper processing. If there is a problem, then just flash the badge, okay? And as far as the asset, we almost always have it in a box. The box is small. It will be about half the size of a shoebox. It will be black with gold trim. Sometimes it will have a light in it and appear to glow. Some of these boxes will have some writing on them and maybe some pictures. But for the most part, a small black box with gold trim. We don't provide a key and it's uber tricky to open, so it will be closed. If you find one that's open, then call us. We will handle it from there.
Picking up her bag, then standing up. Miss H heads for the door, then turns around and holds her hand out towards Mark.
Oh, sorry.
Mark holds his hand out to shake her hand. She looks at his hand, then back at him and says,
No, Marcus. Hand me your cellular phone.
shaking his head.
My phone? Right, gotcha. Here you go.
He hands her his phone and she starts typing.
I'm putting my number in your cellular, but this is only for emergencies and important questions. Oh, and of course, if you actually catch Mr. Walker, I will be on standby. I'm sure to hear from you, so I'll be waiting. If you last 2 months, I'll be very surprised.
A little upset at her last remark. Mark takes his phone back. Then he reaches out to put his hand on her arm as she turns to leave. He wanted to stop her so he could ask about that last comment, but she pauses, not turning around but standing still. Mark realizes that perhaps putting his hand on her might seem inappropriate, but she just stands there for what seems like minutes, but is only a second or two. Mark hears a low growl. He's sure there is an actual growl coming from her. Then she turns to face him, and for an instant he thinks he may have seen a distorted face on top of her face. He's sure he sees her face, but also another face on top of hers, as if she was looking through another face. If he had to call it anything, I guess he would call it a more evil version of her face. Then quicker than quick it's gone. He's not truly sure if he saw anything, but it is enough to make him move his arm.
Whoa, wait. What the hell? I was sure.
Mark tries to compose himself and takes a deep breath. He also takes a step back and a second look at Miss H.
Never mind. Sorry, I shouldn't have touched your arm. My bad. Sorry. I just wanted to ask if I had done something that ticked you off. I feel like you don't like me for some reason. As soon as we met, you've been giving me real bad vibes, and I don't know what I did. But either way, if I did or said something that upset you, hey, I'm sorry. I apologize for whatever it was. We have to work together, and I just want to clear the air, you know? There doesn't have to be a party every time we're in a room together. I just feel like at least kinda cool. And right now, I don't. So what can I do?
Nothing. You can't do anything, Marcus. And not that I just don't like you. It really has nothing to do with you. It's personal. Just by pure coincidence, you're standing in front of my current Mad-On. It's like if you bumped your knee and then someone who didn't know any better tried to tell you a joke. You wouldn't want to be all nice and cuddly to them, right? Well, we just happened to meet when I bumped my knee. Think of it that way. I just need some time to get used to you, I guess.
Miss H turns again to walk away, then drops her head and turns around towards Mark.
Oh. And please don't touch me again, Marcus. I'm not a touchy-feely type of person. Good luck with Mr. Walker, though. Seriously. Keep me in the loop with your progress.
Okay, I can do that. My mistake. Boundaries, right? I can understand that. It's like if your name was Mark and someone insists on calling you Marcus, even though you're sure that they know Mark in this particular case isn't short for Marcus. I mean, you know my name isn't Marcus, right?
Miss H walks up to Mark. Standing directly in his face, she gives a half smile and adjusts her glasses.
I know. Marcus.
And with that, she leaves, holding her hand up and waving goodbye as she walks out of the door. Marc Antony looks around the room, still a little unsure of what he thought he both saw and heard.
Okay, well, bye then.
He shakes his head and walks back to the table and picks up the folder.
So I guess it's just you and me now.
Looking out the window.
I don't think I'm going to finish breakfast.
Thinking to himself,
I guess I need to get back on the clock, like she said.
Marc Antony puts on his jacket and heads to the car. He puts the address of Mr. Walker in the GPS and heads out. He drives for about 25 minutes, the entire time thinking about what he thought he saw at his apartment. Shaking his head, he begins to convince himself that it was just his imagination. As he gets close to the address, he sees a few people walking across the street. One of them looks like the picture of Thomas Walker.
What are the odds of this?
Mark thinks to himself as he holds up the picture for a better look.
Yep, That's my guy.
Parking his car and walking over, he calls out to Thomas.
Hey, Thomas. Thomas Walker.
The man looks at Mark and walks towards an alley. He turns and enters the alley. Mark runs to catch up with him.
Thomas, wait up. I have to talk to you.
When Mark enters the alley, he sees Thomas standing there. He smiles, then speaks to Thomas.
Hey, Thomas, I need to talk to you. I work for the company. They sent me out to find you. They want their property back. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So if you could just give it back, I can be on my way.
The man just stares at Mark with an almost confused look on his face. Then he speaks.
I'm sorry, sir, but I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have a box covered in gold with angelic engraving on it.
Then he begins to smile. And that smile becomes a laugh, but not a regular laugh, a weird out-of-body type of laugh. The sound makes Mark take a step back and look around.
I'm not going back, and you can't take me back. You tell the company, or whatever they're calling themselves, that I say they can go to hell. Not me, them.
Then he laughs louder. Marc Antony notices that the alley seems a little darker than when he originally entered it. He looks at the man and he seems different than a moment ago. Not really bigger, but like there is more of him. Like he's taking more space, and at the same time, not really.
What the hell?
Trying to hurry this along so he can just get out of here, Mark yells out to the man.
Hey, look, man. Just give me the box and I'll get out of here.
Thomas stares at Mark and says,
You don't know yet, do you? Am I your first asset? I bet they haven't even told you what it is, have they?
Thomas's voice starts to change.
Let me show you.
Thomas moves across the alley, fast, far faster than Mark would have expected. He tackles Mark and they fall into a trash can and some trash. Mark puts his foot on Thomas's chest and shoves. He pushes him off, but not nearly as far as he should have gone.
What the hell, man? What the hell?
Mark grabs a pipe from the trash.
Back up, man. I light you up with this thing. All I needed was the box. You're making this harder than it has to be. Calm down. Let's talk.
Swinging the pipe in the air to suggest that he would hit Thomas, Mark yells out again.
I knew this was going to be more complicated than they said it was. I just knew it.
Directing his words back at Thomas, he speaks.
Come on, man. I don't want to do this. It's not yours. Just give it to me and I can leave.
Thomas stops. He looks at Mark, but his stance is all wrong. He stands as if he's suddenly frozen or almost as if he was just turned off. Then he sort of wakes up again.
What do you mean, not mine? Of course it's mine. And I'm not going back. Do you have the ring? Put it on the ground and I'll give you the box.
Mark stops swinging the pipe for a moment and says,
Ring? What ring? My Marine Corps ring?
Thomas growls his words to Mark.
Are you saying they haven't even given you the ring?
Then Thomas leaps onto Mark again and forces his hands onto Mark's neck. He starts to choke Mark. As strong as Mark thinks he is, as much as he believed he was in good shape. This older, smaller man is overpowering him. He tries to fight. He tries to pry the man's hands loose. Then he tries to scream for help. But he feels himself blacking out. Then, just as he sees Thomas smiling and saying something that he can't make out, he notices Miss H standing behind Thomas, and he can hear her clearly.
I told you to call me if you needed assistance. Why would you try to retrieve your very first asset alone?
Then she holds up her hand. There is a large black ring on her finger with yellow markings. He can't see anything else, just her and this ring, and he can see and hear her clearly. Then he realizes that he is standing next to his body, with that lunatic on his chest squeezing the life out of him. He sees himself kicking and gasping. He tries to grab Thomas, but his hand passes through him. Thomas looks behind him, as if he felt the hand touch him. Miss H reaches for Mark's hand and holds it as she takes off the ring.
You're going to need this, Marcus. Take the ring.
Mark takes the ring. He puts it on his finger, and he can suddenly feel a change in himself. He is aware of more than he was a moment ago. He feels stronger. He doesn't feel like he's being choked now. In fact, he feels both lighter and more solid, like he's made of brick and feathers. He looks back at his body on the ground. And just like that, he is back in his body, on the ground, under Thomas. But this time when he pushes Thomas, he flies across the alley and into the brick wall. Thomas is barely able to stand, but Marc still runs towards him. Tightening his fist and feeling the ring heating up in his hand, he hits Thomas with everything he has, yelling in satisfaction at not only surviving the fight, but winning it.
Punk bitch.
He knocks out Thomas and then leans against the wall, coughing and holding his neck. He looks at Miss H.
You really here? I almost thought I was dreaming. That dude was trying to kill me. I thought I was going to die. I just couldn't get him off me. How the hell was he so strong? And where the hell did you come from?
First off, Marcus, calm down. I knew you wouldn't read everything I gave you. The ring was there in the envelope. But I went back and got it and tracked down the car. Now, excuse me for a moment.
She walks over to Thomas and kneels down. Marc cannot see what she is doing, but it looks like she is pulling at his chest. When she turns around, she has a black box, covered in gold accent. She walks towards Marc.
Well, look here. You just recovered your first asset. I'll just take this in. Keep that ring on you, please, and I'll contact you tomorrow to follow up.
Miss H walks out of the alley and around the corner. Marc takes another breath, then follows her. When he gets to the end of the alley, she is gone. He looks both ways and doesn't see her. There are plenty of people there, and it surprises him that no one heard him yell or heard all the commotion in the alley. Then he looks back to see a brick wall where he thought the alley was. He rubs his head and gets back into the car and heads home.
I need to start drinking, just so I can stop.
The end of episode 2. Asset number 1.